I think it would surprise a lot of people to hear that I'm not really a foodie. I've just spent the last 2.5 hours, oh Malfoy, my cat is rubbing up all against me, and he is, I don't know where he's gotten into, but he is horribly filthy. So thank you for adding to my laundry load. I've just spent the last 2.5 hours in the kitchen, and I needed a break. So musings from my front porch. And as I was, chopping vegetables, I was getting dinner ready. We're having stinging nettle, wild leek, and potato soup. And that recipe is on my blog, so I'll link it in the description. You can use store-bought, like regular leeks. You don't have to use wild leeks with it as well if you don't have access to those. Delicious. We make it once a year because, when it's wild leek and nettle season. And then I was making, chopping up broccoli and carrots for a broccoli slaw. It was one of the requested sides for my husband's birthday tomorrow. So I've been in the kitchen for a long time, chopping up nettles and broccoli and carrots and all kinds of things. And it got me thinking about like this idea that so many of us who embark on this self-sufficiency journey, this homesteading kind of lifestyle, there is this, I don't want to say misconception, but sort of preconceived belief that all of us are foodies, right? That we love to be in the kitchen and we love to cook, and, baking sourdough bread from scratch is on our bucket list and all this kind of stuff. And, for me, to be very transparent, it couldn't be further from the truth. I am not a huge fan of cooking. And instead, cooking has become something that was born out of necessity. And it's interesting because I was like, when I thought about it, I was like, I should talk about this because I think it's one of the barriers that people have to this lifestyle. Maybe not, enjoying being in the kitchen that much, but understanding that we all have different motivations for why we do what we do. So what do I mean by it became born out of necessity? When my husband and I started embarking on this lifestyle, it was before my son was born. We did not have a lot of money. And as I started kind of what I joke and say, I opened Pandora's box of food, and I started to understand how food went from being in farmers' fields to grocery stores to my plate, and the chemicals and the pesticides and the farming practices that were used. I was like, I don't know if I want to eat this stuff. I'll probably share another video at some point, but you have health journeys and complications along the way, and you realize how much of, the imbalances and things that you move through are caused by the food that we have available to us. It shocks my son still to this day that 90% of the stuff in the grocery store we've never touched. Oh, cat, honestly. This is just going to stay in there. We're going to consider that a blooper for this. But yeah, like the box food, the processed foods, things that are filled with ingredients that we don't want, excitotoxins, all this kind of stuff. And then even when you're looking at the fresh food and the produce, we weren't in a place at that time where we could have afforded to, say, purchase everything organic. And even that word organic, we have to be kind of careful about, because what does that even mean? I'm opening up probably another kettle of fish here with this by mentioning that, because I know that organic farming practices can still use sprays. And so for us, there was a quality of nutrition that we wanted that just wasn't accessible. And so the alternative became, okay, well, I'm going to cook from scratch. I'm going to grow most of my own food. Fast forward to where we are now. I live in a rural area, and access doesn't exist here in terms of organic produce. There's just some things I can't find and I can't get. So that's often why, we grow what we grow. And then, of course, we get to cooking from scratch, right? And so, I don't know, it was just one of these sort of personal journey things. Kat, don't knock over my tripod again. That I wanted to share because, if you don't love cooking, if you don't want to bake all the things from scratch, You know, maybe try to find different motivators, right? Like, why do we do what we do? It's not because I wanted to spend 2.5 hours in the kitchen. My cat is driving me crazy. Malfoy. He is bound and determined to ruin this video. It's because I want good quality food. I want organic food options. I want natural and fresh foods that don't have preservatives and dyes and chemicals and, you know, MSG and tons of soy and all of this kind of stuff. And, you know, you become a foodie out of necessity. And other than that, I don't have a whole heck of a lot more to say. I would love to know if this resonates with you. Do you find yourself kind of on the same page? You know, do you see, this is something too that happens with me often. You know, I'll see these Instagram channels and these YouTube videos where people are making like sourdough flatbreads and muffins and doing all of this stuff. And, you know, they're making cheese and butter by hand and they look like they're enjoying it. And in my head, I'm just like, oi. Right? I don't want to do that. You know, I mean, part of me does. I have these moments. I'll have inspirational days where I'm like, yeah, I'm going to spend a ton of time in the kitchen. But that's not my everyday, you know? And so let me know in the comments if this kind of landed for you, that, you know, we have to be diligent out of necessity to take care of our health, to take care of our bodies, to ensure that, you know, we're being careful about what we put in them and all that kind of stuff. So yeah, musings from the porch. Admissions, I'm not a gourmet cook. I'm not a foodie. I'm not passionate about spending hours in the kitchen. And I think that's okay. I think it's all right.